Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show. Today is Thursday, March 19th, and we're rounding out a great week of shows. If you've missed them, then you'll want to check them out. If you're listening in podcast land, this is a great opportunity to scroll back and save some of the episodes. We've had conversations with excellent builders, movers, and shakers that bring you behind the scenes of the wild and wonderful world of Web3. Lots of great answers to common crypto questions. And I'm excited to get to today's guest. But first, I've got to know, Alex, Will, how you guys doing?
I'm a little sicker than I was the day before, but I was in a deep NyQuil sleep last night.
Oh, yeah.
And that stuff, that just knocks you out. I feel like I could sleep an additional 6 hours right now. And like I feel like if I laid down, I could fall back asleep again. But instead, I'm here, wide awake, looking forward to learn about the payment solution Krak from Kraken. Not learn about Krak, but
also maybe. Yeah. And we'll see where the day takes us.
Yeah, listen, I hear one of them helps if you're feeling sleepy, and the other one helps if you need to move money costlessly pretty much anywhere in the world. We'll let them tell us the difference. And that is the disclaimer today. We are not talking about any kind of stimulant, and they don't either. What I really like about today's guest is that backstage he was saying, you know, we don't feel the need to disclaim or clarify. We, that is your friends at Rise Up, just happen to think it's quite funny. It's quite funny to say we're going to get our friends hooked on crack.
Oh, dude, yes.
Alex has been scheming. Alex has been scheming about this. He was trying to get himself a little shirt backstage, like win merch, you know.
It's funny. I don't typically. You don't see Alex like giddy and excited too often, where it's like get hooked on. He's like, oh yes.
Listen, like, when a brand's good, a brand's good. Okay, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, and not just the brand, but like, you know, I mean, you know, it's not that often that if you just pull a card from the deck of crypto companies and crypto projects and stuff with crypto in its name, most of the time you're like, oh, wow, you know, this is not worth my time. So the reason Alex is excited is also because this actually is something that will help everyday people use the benefits.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really, really nice little cherry on top of the crypto sundae when the product doesn't suck. So that's always fun.
Yeah, just before we bring our guest in, I'm going to make you play a guessing game. Do you know how many different currencies Krak supports?
Yes.
Price is Right rules. You know, Alex, what is it with you and the guessing game and knowing all the numbers lately?
You can't make me guess shit. I do research for the show.
He's chronically online.
I'm just testing you. Yeah. Okay, fine. If you're in the audience, tell me how many currencies you think they support. Okay, fine. It's higher than 12. It's less than 1 billion. It's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot. Alex, I neglected to ask though, how are you? Aside from excited to talk about Krak and payments for everybody.
Mostly excited to talk about Krak.
Yeah. Everybody in crypto is talking about updating the financial system one way or another. A lot of them mean that they're going to try and take your money with some stupid token that really doesn't do anything. But there's a lot of great coverage, PR, and promotion from the mothership parent company Kraken, but also the Krak team has done a really good job. They've got a great account on TikTok at Krak app where they're doing.
Would you say they're
content.
Cracked?
I would say indeed that they are cracked, and they have a really good chance at actually fixing some of the problems we see where over 1 billion people are unbanked. Even in what we would call like an advanced economy, people are still spending, you bring this up all the time, Will, single-digit percentage points on credit card transaction fees. And if you're trying to send money anywhere else in the world, you may have to pay 5, 10, 12% or more. I was reading the other day about sending money to Nigeria. It's one of the most expensive transfers in the world. And in some places it can take up to 20% per transaction. That there are $20 billion in remittances sent to Nigeria alone every year. And so of that amount, about 2 billion to 4 billion is just taken right off the top. And it's so slow. We know this. You know, it takes 2 or 3 days. You might have to show your ID. If there's something wrong with it, they can just reverse it. And so enter Krak. This is an all-in-one global money app that they've built from the ground up on crypto infrastructure. So you get the familiarity of TradFi with the speed openless, the flexibility of everything you love about blockchain. This is not just another Venmo or PayPal clone. This is a real rethink from the ground up of how money should work. The answer, Alex and Will, since you did your research, is that you can send 600 currencies across more than 160 countries using Krak tags, basically a payment handle. And you can earn different rewards like we've seen across the crypto space just by holding value in your account. And today's guest, I'm very excited to introduce him, is the head of product. His name is Jared Blake. He's here to talk about payments, equity, changing the money system, and of course, to tell us why he's hooked on Krak. I couldn't resist myself. Please welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show for the very first time, Jared Blake. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you, Evan, Alex, Will, for that warm welcome. I feel like we can wrap it up. That was a perfect introduction to everything that Krak has going on right now.
Yeah,
thanks for coming on the show. Get out of here. You did great.
Yeah, do you want to, though, in your own words, and especially to introduce yourself, tell us a little more about, like, how did you come to be concerned about this problem? How did you come to Krak? How did you come to crypto? Who are you?
Yeah, so as mentioned, head of product here at Krak, have a little journey where I fell into the rabbit hole that is crypto in about 2015, did some kind of general retail investment and trading, continued to dabble in the space, just naturally as a builder, worked on some side projects on actually the Flow ages ago, built some analytics platforms, and then shifted my way into building actually a CDP, a customer data platform, on ETH that allowed users to basically combine on and off-chain data elements to build comprehensive user profiles to basically market and target them more effectively. And from there, really realized that it was less about blockchain as this like general idea, and it was more about the value add that you could build programs, smart contracts on top of that were immutable and allowed economic freedom. And from there, was introduced to Kraken, and from there figured out, hey, how can we make payments a thing here? That's what led us down to the rabbit hole of Krak.
Did you say you were building on the Flow blockchain? There was a glitch.
Ages ago, yes.
Dude, I mean, anybody building on Flow was probably building there ages ago. What was that experience like?
Oh, man. It was a wild one, to say the least.
Sure.
It's obviously been in the news recently, but I think it's more about the notion of just building where people are and just messing around with nascent technology. And you're seeing that right now with agentic workflows. And I think it's very ideal to start to pick up these technologies as soon as possible and see what's just ultimately out there.
A lot of the folks in our audience are all ages, all levels of experience, but many of them are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and they're very familiar with, banks, checks, credit cards, getting their money and the money system disrupted. And not a lot of it brings them a lot of benefits. And now they see you, a guy who looks even younger than me. You got beautiful skin, like telling us about this new technology, this new stack. Why and how can we explain that this is different? Like, what makes Krak different than just another payment solution?
Yeah, well, look, and I think we've actually maybe even misrepresented Krak.
Okay.
It's an app that's less than a year old. And it started off this journey, and it's lived a few lifetimes already as a viral peer-to-peer app. Since then, what we've really found by listening to our users and just seeing adoption is that people want more from their applications. They don't just want an ability to send money back and forth between them and friends. They really want an incomplete kind of banking solution. They want something that can offer them just a different way to experience money. And ultimately, that's what we've started to double and triple down on in Krak thus far. And we talk a lot about this notion of a minimal viable neobank here. And that's really what we're pushing on. And we're pushing on trying to bring that to as many geographies and globally as fast as we possibly can. So what Krak ultimately is it's a global money app that allows people to not just send, but store, save, grow, spend that value however they choose. And I think that last piece is the most critical element of that entire story, where one of the things that we think kind of enables the economic freedom I talked about earlier, is that ability to choose your own store of value, whether that's US dollars, whether that's pesos, whether that's Bitcoin, whether that's gold, whether that's equities. And the Krak app facilitates all of that by allowing you to hold any of those 600 plus assets without disintermediating you from any of the other financial solutions that exist out there, whether you want to send peer-to-peer, you want to spend at a merchant via a debit card, whether you want to accept payroll directly and then start to hold those assets immediately. That, I think, is truly the definition of economic freedom, where you're no longer bound to what your government tells you need to be holding and using, and it's truly up to you as an end consumer what you find value in.
The title of this article that I've found, shout out to Alex, the other Alex, backstage, who gave us this excellent, super helpful prep kit. Say goodbye to your bank, make Krak your everything account. I really like that focus on people want to do more. And I see that you've rolled out a lot of things. You got cash back, you got the currency support, you got the card. And I saw in this article, as we were researching, that there are no ATM fees.
That's correct.
How did you negotiate that?
Yeah, how? That's awesome.
There's a little bit of special sauce in there. But a lot of this just boils down to the fact that we want to ensure that our users are rewarded across the journey. I think for so long, people have been accustomed to their traditional financial institution that rather than give rewards back to the end user or client, actually acts as a middleman and taxes those pathways. And so I think the ATM fee or lack thereof is just a smaller example of a broader tenet that we try to imbue the app with, which is we want to share as much as we can with the end user, whether that's an ATM withdrawal or that's even something like our 1% payroll deposit match, which we can talk about a little bit later in more depth. But the goal is to ensure that from start to finish, a user has the most rewarding experience possible on Krak.
Yeah, I see even that you're looking at making it an investing app too. I know that it's a separate product, and I see that Kraken has incubated or built out a variety of different things, but I'm curious if you can talk a little bit about that too, because a lot of the folks in our audience are interested in trying to figure out, like, as they move beyond banks and look to something like crypto, they also want simple solutions that will help them earn. So can you talk more about the different kinds of strategies that you'll have for earning? Right now, it's just earn on your balance, right?
Yep.
And in the future, that's going to change.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think
Tell us more.
two things. One, I think what would be helpful is maybe even laying out some context for how we think about Krak relative to the consumer exchange and Pro.
Please.
I think first and foremost, there's a good analog that I like to use, at least based in the US, which is oftentimes a lot of consumers here will often have a bank or a checking and savings account, and then they'll have a brokerage. So they'll have something like Chase or Citi, et cetera, and then they'll have basically a Charles Schwab or a Fidelity. We liken the relationship between our apps in a similar vein, which is you'll have an application that's really oriented around everyday finance, and that's Krak. So this might be where you hold your savings, you might top up for spending, you might collect your payroll into there, you might send payments to friends, family, remittance, et cetera. And then you have your brokerage where you're really focused around is building wealth. You're trying to trade. You might have some more exotic financial instruments over on that side of the fence. So that's ultimately the relationship between the two. But Evan, to kind of circle back to your original question around yield strategies, we actually, not even, I think 2 months ago, released our first foray into really trying to blur the lines between DeFi yield strategies and vaults and our traditional kind of custodial experience. And so we launched vaults, which allow users to earn up to 8%. I think actually right now we're fluctuating around 5%, which is still extremely high and attractive.
Really good.
And this allows people to, in I think it's 3 clicks, immediately start to earn access and yield on USDC. And we'll obviously be investing in that product, both horizontally as well as vertically, to ensure that users have access to the best that DeFi really offers, but packaged in a skin that feels very TradFi. I think as you guys all kind of alluded to, that's our goal, is to make all of the powerful elements of crypto as approachable and accessible as possible. And so they should feel no different than just transferring between like a checking and savings account. Ultimately, this is just our version of a high yield savings account.
Yeah, no, this combined with everything that Kraken offers, it's like a one-stop financial hub, across the board. Stocks, cryptos, investments, payment, checking, savings, earning high yield. Seems really nice.
Well, and to the connection I was drawing, I can't remember who posted this. Maybe you guys saw it. There was maybe it was Hasib. There was an article about a little op-ed about the prevalence of the app Zelle, or the payment solution Zelle, as it relates to. Yeah. Did you see that? It was like a comparative analysis between Zelle usage and then crypto apps, or even other non-crypto related payment apps. And just kind of about like the specific integration with a bank account that makes it the natural choice, even though, most people would sit down and tell you that the user experience of sending money via Zelle is pretty bad. I personally hate it whenever anyone tells me the only thing that they're going to accept is Zelle. And it's a predominantly, it's I don't know. Anyway, it was really interesting. So the first thing that I thought was, of course, looking at, as we said backstage, the mothership and the advancements being made towards, different pieces of banking infrastructure, the Wyoming charter, the Fed account, access to those kinds of rails. I would imagine that Krak gets to benefit from access to those pieces of infrastructure, right? Just to make the whole thing faster, fewer intermediary steps. Because the setup to like get this going is like, hey, you have a Kraken account. You can use this. Would you like to sign up? Sure. Great. You're signed up. Here it is. And then of course, the rest is pretty quick and painless. But I started it even before the charter was in place and before the access to the Fed account had been finalized. So has that changed things for you guys? I would assume that you all share it, right? Like between the whole ecosystem?
Correct. And look, we're looking at integrating all of these solutions, licensing, charters, so on and so forth, to improve the experience. But I think there's a lot that we still have to do, even on the basic side of the fence. And I think there's a lot we can invest in to improve distribution and accessibility.
You have a wish list?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what are we wishing for?
So I think there's a few things here, and I'm not sure if you guys have messed around. Actually, in Krak, we have something called a pay link, which allows you to basically send either a request or send money via URL. Now, as Alex alluded to, on the other side of that, a user actually has to go ahead and sign up for Krak in order to receive or pay in those funds. Without saying too much, we're looking at how we can reduce the barriers to the other side of that equation and allow those users to maybe not have as much friction moving forward. Because we see the value, Alex, in that exact exchange, in the virality that can create. If all of a sudden I can pay Will $15 for a drink or some ice cream, without him needing to jump through a bunch of hurdles and sign up for an account and provide a bunch of information. And then hopefully Will sees that happen 2, 3, 4 times with his immediate circle. And all of a sudden he's like, what is this thing called Krak? I've had 3 friends ask me for money, or I've sent money via it a few times. I'd love to give it a try and kind of take that dive. So a lot of things that we're thinking about on that front.
In terms of like Zelle and Zelle, other competitors, who do you see as your competitors? Because you really do a lot more than just simple payments. Something that was cool to me that I did not say, and I don't think we've touched on yet, is that you can get extra cash back effectively on your salary when you are paid by your job on Krak. Then you can earn up to, where is it? I've lost it. 250 looks like pounds per month. I'm looking at a British version of the website, and up to 3,000 pounds per year paid out monthly in pounds or BTC. So that's not exactly what Zelle does. Coinbase doesn't do that. Who, when you look at across the landscape, do you see as your competitors, just to help people get like an idea, maybe if they've not used your service before? How do you explain it, and how do you position yourselves and say differently? Is there anybody you're worried about?
I think, look, this is very related to, I think, some of the things we've chatted about and why we decided to break Krak out from the broader Kraken application. So once upon a time, we were actually a peer-to-peer tab within the Kraken consumer application. And part of that shift was that we felt that with a different brand, one that wasn't so crypto first, we could actually attract a broader TAM. We could appeal to folks who just are generally looking for a better set of financial services, a better bank, and don't necessarily want to commit to the crypto experience, at least initially. And so
or the crypto culture. Mm-hmm. You know, they might just think crypto culture is all Ponzi scheme scams and they don't want to touch it. So if you communicate to them, hey, this is just a better version of what you got, they'll start using it and then eventually realize, oh, wait, is this crypto? This is actually good. I like this. Yeah.
Don't have to make it your whole personality.
Exactly.
So that's a lot of our goal here, is to try to acquire a demographic of users who is just dissatisfied with what traditional banking has offered them to this point in time, whether it's like the slow transfers, the hidden fees, as I referenced earlier about the middlemen, low returns, limited flexibility. Like, it's just a bad experience broadly. And so we're really excited about investing in that direction. We're not just a payments app, though. We're trying to provide value across that entire user journey in terms of how somebody engages with financial services and bringing that globally. And so speaking a little bit about kind of what we have in market in the EU right now, everything kind of starts with that payroll deposit match, as Evan alluded to, which is, if you go ahead and we have virtual named accounts, you go ahead and take that IBAN and you drop it in your payroll provider, and we see that you've committed your payroll for 2 months, we give you 1% deposit match on every paycheck on a go forward basis at the end of the month. No holds, no sort of amortization of that reward. It's just instant. It lands in your account and you get a 1% raise effectively. Now, the beauty of that is that that compounds. And so it's not just that I'm getting a 1% match on my payroll, but now I can go ahead and I can hold that in, let's say, TGBP, which is a new GBP stablecoin that we just released that offers up to 4% yield just by holding it. No lockups, no need to go put it in a vault, no need to think about it. You just swap into that currency and you earn 4% yield. Or you can go drop that in our vault and earn 5% on USDC or any of the other assets that we have supported via AutoEarn. Mm-hmm. And then finally, on the way out, when you swipe your card, you earn up to 2% cash back. And so that just exemplifies, we reward you on the way in, we reward you for holding funds on platform, and then we reward you once again on the way out. And we think that just provides an unparalleled experience that I think truly is game changing when you think about that relative to any sort of traditional banking experience that you've experienced before.
We just have one comment come in that says, that's already higher than my current yearly bonus. So a pretty big financial incentive. That's pretty crazy, hononestly.
Are you subsidizing that, or is it coming from like revenue? You know, a lot of crypto protocols, a lot of money protocols will do that. I am trying to arbitrage this year now that we've got potential to do direct deposit. Some of those fees where you can deposit 2 checks and they'll give you $300 or something like that. And I have a friend who earned like $2,000 that way, but it's like a subsidy. So where does the money to do that come from? And what assurances can you give people watching that this is like not just going to go away?
Yeah, look, I think this has everything to do with the difference between us and traditional institutions. We're not here to try to take 90% of the revenue for ourselves that's accrued on platform. We're trying to ensure that we share that back with our users and make sure that this is a mutually beneficial relationship. And so this salary deposit match, I think, is just a single step in that direction, which is, how do we give back some of what is ultimately value accrual the end user should be experiencing? And so this is something that we've modeled out quite robustly, and we plan on having stick around for a long time here. But I think if you talk about some of our competitors, you talk about the Revoluts, the N26s, Trade Republics, they don't offer anything of this vein. In fact, I actually can't name a single financial institution that offers a salary deposit match.
Yeah,
and so
or all these other things.
Or all these other things. And so we really feel like this is a huge differentiator for us and something that we want to invest heavily in to make sure our users feel like they're being rewarded and commensurately for what value they're adding to our ecosystem.
Now, here's an interesting comment. Tori, who works on the team with us and has been a longtime listener of the show, said, I don't think my mom will use this product. And I said, why? I was thinking she was going to say because, it's digital first, maybe like not physical, you don't have a bank branch. But she said because she's basically conservative and would not use anything that sounds like it's a drug, and obviously crack is meant to be a shortened form of Kraken, but she might not see that. She would say it doesn't sound serious enough to be a bank, which is interesting. And I'm just curious to know, how are you planning to reach people who are not digital first and people who would prefer to have a bank branch and who would prefer to have a brand they interact with like Bank of Capital and Trust instead of Krak?
Yeah, look, there's a few things that we can do both on the brand front as well as the product front to try to bridge that gap. And ultimately, a lot of that has to do with how we frame our offering and frame it against just another banking solution. And I think we're taking incremental steps in that direction. We're still a little bit too closely tied to the crypto space, in my opinion, though we will continue to, I think, quite avidly support all of the technologies that are coming out from DeFi. But we want to make sure that all of that is positioned in a way that the average Joe could come and just feel comfortable adopting. And so I think that starts with ultimately all of our presence in terms of paid, organic, website. All of that needs to read as if you're reading fiduciary trust of X state. And then beneath the scenes, as people get more comfortable, we can start to pull them a bit deeper into the world of crypto, into the world of on-chain, as they get more comfortable.
Are there any country limitations right now for the rollout?
There are.
What are the ones that are most painful is what I'd like to know specifically.
There's a lot of geos that we are in currently. So right now we actually support every single country that the broader exchange supports for peer-to-peer. There are some places where it's a little bit more challenging to support both fiat and crypto. And so there are some restrictions in terms of some of the assets that users can send. And we're continually assessing how we can broaden that support over time. Now, our real focus for this year is about expanding kind of those core financial services beyond into those regions. Things like card, those are really expressed areas of for expansion.
I'm so sorry, Jared, you cut out a little bit there. Can you give us just that last two sentences again, please?
Yeah, I was saying we are focused on expanding not just the payments component of our application. We're making an expressed investment in terms of pushing for vaults and cards into more geos because we feel like it's not just a payments first experience, and rather we're really focused on giving people that end-to-end banking like offering in as many markets as possible.
Alex, I hear you gearing up, so let me just say one thing before you do, which is that if you want to learn more about this, probably the very best all-in-one resource is going to be kraken.com/Krak. And while Alex is asking this for the people in podcast land, I am showing this on the screen. TikTok folks, you too, you're going to have to head over to YouTube or just Google kraken.com/Krak. They've got a little QR code that'll help you get started. They've got a full list of terms and conditions, all the countries, all the cash back, all the features, one place. It's an extremely helpful website. It's well designed, it's intuitive, and they show what the different products look like. So it'll answer most of your questions. But Alex, I defer to yours.
So 2 parts. And a lot of this actually even very recently just came through in some of the comments. So I want to ask about the card specifically, and then as it relates to your account. So if you are spending anywhere on the card, which is anywhere for the record that accepts MasterCard, if the spend, which then pulls from your account, is spending a volatile cryptocurrency, one, just a good note for everybody, that involves the sale of the crypto, which is a taxable event.
Okay.
So it's easier, cleaner, for everybody involved. If the asset that's being spent out of there, if you are on crypto rails and not cash, would be well, and I know you guys incentivize USDG holding, right? So, but any stablecoin supported. So is that, first of all, can you spend out of it just a USD, like a direct cash balance on a deposit that way? Is it everything in between? Or how is it prioritized from the card spend if you are holding multiple assets? Can you like block one to make sure like it's not drawing from your Bitcoin or something like that? Like how is that set up on the back end?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great question. I think first and foremost, our entire application is being built so that a user never has to touch crypto. So if all you want to do is you want to deposit or take your payroll in GBP or US dollars and never touch another currency, completely fine. And you'll access all of the same rewards as if you were holding Bitcoin. So that 1% deposit match, the yield that you'll get off of a stable coin, as well as that cash back on card, you can get that in Bitcoin or fiat. So no harm, no foul if crypto's just not your game and you just want a better bank. No problem, we want to support you. In terms of, Alex, your more direct question around how the actual card spend order works, and that's kind of the terminology we've coined on the feature. The way it works is when you first set up your card, we create a hierarchy of assets based on your balances. That hierarchy can be accessed under your card management settings page, and a user can actually customize from basically 0 through N how they want to think about spending their balances. That allows you to explicitly order them. So, hey, maybe I want all of my fiat at the top, then my stable coins, then my crypto. And maybe there's even a few crypto assets I just don't want the spend order to touch at all. As you alluded to, you're actually able to block those assets so they're completely skipped when we look to debit your account. So in my account, actually, personally, I have Bitcoin blocked. Everything else is fair game. And I think that just gives you a peace of mind, which is some of your items and assets that you want to keep clearly as investments, never get caught up in those types of transactions.
I'm curious too, if you can just explain the onboarding process to somebody who wants to use it, is intimidated by the crypto, like step by step, walk me through. They go to kraken.com/crack, they scan the QR code, they download the app. What is it like if all I have is a bank and Australian dollars or pesos or USD or whatever? How do I get started?
Yeah, I think the easiest way is, as you reference, Evan, either go to the App Store, go to our website, scan the QR code, get the app itself. You'll be asked to go through 2 functional steps in our onboarding experience. One, just creating an account. So basic information like email, you'll validate your email, you'll choose a Krak tag, and then ultimately you'll go to a second step, which is KYC, which is you will have to go through providing just some identification. This allows us to ensure that you're not a malicious actor or on a sanctioned list. You'll go through that speedily, and then ultimately it will drop you into first-time experience that will encourage you to go ahead and either connect an account or just make a deposit from your bank or connect a card. And that's all you need to do to get started. From there, you're able to go ahead and start sending payments immediately or deposit funds and start to earn.
Just like that. Just use
like that.
Yeah.
And if you have an exchange account already, it's literally just like
plug in your
here you go,
and password. Exactly.
Yeah.
Dang. Okay. We are hanging out with Jared Blake, head of product at Krak. If you've got a question related to Krak, how to use it, or more broadly about the state of crypto payments, crypto neobanking, even if it's related to help, I think I've been hacked or scammed, I can't access my cold wallet, let us know because we want to hear you. If you don't get a chance to ask us your question live today, the good news is, first, we'll be back. We're live Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, 5 a.m. if you're on the West Coast, but thankfully, wherever you are, whenever you listen, you can catch us on your favorite podcasting app on YouTube so you don't have to wake up too early. Get your beauty sleep. And then head over to community.rumshq.com. It is the place all our shows live 24/7. It's where Alex and Will and I hang out, all of the many friends in our community. If you've got a crypto question, that's a great, safe place to ask it. And today, just as we do every Thursday, we are going to be there after the show for the after show. It's just like the show, except instead of being limited by comments, you can bump up there with us. You can hang out like Jared is doing and ask us your question in person. It's a real great way, totally for free, to get help with something you're trying to figure out, like how do I create a Krak account? So if that sounds like something you'd want to do, head over to community.rumshq.com. We'll get it started probably about 50 minutes from now. Jared, I'm curious, as we get questions rolling in, if there's anything else that you particularly, obviously you're hooked on Krak, but are really excited about in the crypto space, in the money space, the tech space, the internet space, that also has your attention. What gets you up in the morning and makes you excited about the work we're doing?
Yeah, look, I think maybe two responses here. I think one, I think the simple reality that payment systems today are not working for the broader population. Even as simple as the use case of I was looking to send money to a coworker recently, and they're based in Canada. I'm in the US. There's no easy rail or system for me to send them money. Mm-hmm. That basic reality is extremely frustrating in today's day and age. And so just working on a problem set that just makes what should be a basic expectation on behalf of a consumer simple and easy to use, like that's incredibly cool. I think the second thing is just a broader trend that's emerging is obviously agentic finance. I think there's a whole world and host of possibilities out there as we start to dive into the weeds of, and it feels like right now we're just scratching the surface, honestly. And I think it's interesting to see how those experiences might be able to port their way back to something like Krak, where you can actually start to tap into the efficiency gains and the ease of use of some of these experiences. So I think that's something where.
What about some of like the legal or regulatory changes? Because, Clarity Act is stalling its way, to people near us. And I'm curious to know if any resistance from the banking lobbies is something that's challenging for you at Krak, or if there's any particular piece of legislation that would be like an unlock for you, something that you hope doesn't happen. Do you have any thoughts on that? What would be helpful?
I think by and large, we're seeing this regime be extremely positive and supportive of crypto. And I think at this moment in time, I think all we can do is be as transparent and upfront with the regulators in terms of what we would see making a step function improvement in terms of the space. And so Arjun, our co-CEO, is actually working quite closely with the White House in terms of formulating and shaping some of this legislation. And so I think we can't make any complaints at this moment in time. I think that we see a pretty clear embrace of our space right now by the existing regime, and we'll do our best to continue to make that a healthy and positive relationship.
Here's an interesting question for you in terms of liquidity. People are curious how you manage other people's money versus your own. Is that something you lean on Kraken for? Like the question specifically was, in a bull run scenario where everybody is rushing to sell their assets, can you speak to what should give a consumer confidence that they're not going to experience a freeze, a hold, or withdrawal, something like that?
Yes. So we use all of the same custodial infrastructure that Kraken does. And I think the Kraken track record speaks for itself in terms of security and just fiduciary responsibility. We sit atop a singular pool of liquidity and a singular exchange. So all of the order books that you see that underpin Pro, Consumer, and Krak are all consolidated. So from a liquidity standpoint, you're hitting all of the same order books and pairs that you would using any of the other applications. And then actually at the ledger level and at the custodial level, we're using all the same infrastructure that we use for all of our other wallets across the exchange.
Got it. That's assuring. Definitely. Alex, Will, I'm glad to defer to you, and I'm also glad to open up the conversation, like I say, to our questions. I think we're caught up on everything. A lot of different folks still want to understand the differences between common payment apps. Alex, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to highlight, so there was a question about kind of comparing this to something like Venmo that may be more commonly used. And we've talked about some of the differences in like the rewards available or the different incentives to use this kind of thing. But The sounds pithy, but accurate distinction between apps like that and then something like this, where you're drawing off of legitimately held balances that the money actually exists, right? Like a lot of these payment apps, one of the ways that you can make payments through something like Venmo so fast is that the money's not real. You're just, deleting a number on one screen and making it appear on a different screen. And then the settlements happen some other time later, rolled up and batched and all that kind of stuff. But here we're talking about using a rail to send money that is actually sitting in an account that you have that you could then do something else with, or, send to someone, spend somewhere on the card. Is that accurate? Would you add anything to it, or did I miss anything?
No, I think that's accurate. And I think beyond just rails, I think if we get to the kernel of how Venmo and Cash App were built,
Please.
They're designed for USD. They're not designed for a world where the world is multi-currency and global. So there's a lot of constraints in terms of their architecture, and we've really thought from first principles when we were building Krak about a global world where we need to integrate not just with on-off ramps from a global nature, but also all the intermediary rails to pass money from you to I or from you to a friend, and then ensuring that all those pathways support not just fiat, but stablecoins, crypto, potentially things like X stocks. All of that should be supported. And I think that's a huge differentiator. And I think sometimes people overlook some of these solutions that maybe feel similar today, but I think in 6 months and a year, as we start to see this landscape continue to develop, will feel extremely antiquated relative to something like Krak that supports all these different assets. And then, go ahead.
You just said stocks. Are we talking about a potential future wherein someone is able to quickly send stock share or tokenized stock shares to and from each other using a service like this? Or
look, we're always looking at expanding the assets.
Huzzah!
On Krak. Kraken is obviously a huge supporter of X stocks, and I think we see a world where everything should be a store of value, regardless of what that is, whether that's Tesla, whether that's gold, whether that's Bitcoin, whether that's reals.
I dig it. I will pivot just to ask Tori's question because I'm also curious now. Tori, I have to frame your example here. She's curious what you do in your free time. And then her example is Tarkov. And I just said anyone who plays Tarkov in their free time is not to be trifled with. So I am curious though. What do you do in your free time when you're not reshaping the global financial system?
Or playing with my Mac Mini. We'll leave that one to the side as well.
Okay.
A lot of outdoor activities. To be fair, I'm staring at a screen for long hours per day.
Fair.
And so getting out to the coastline or getting into the mountains, doing some bike riding, doing some surfing, anything to really get me out of the four walls of this house.
I dig it.
You mentioned the Mac Mini though.
Well, before the Mac Mini,
go ahead.
it is my mission to learn how to surf this year. It's the only sport on one single board that I can't do. And I've tried and I'm just awful. But now that I live on the ocean, I feel like I have to. And then also I just got my very first, it was a gift, paddleboard. And I haven't done that yet either, but I'm very excited about that too. And we're just about at the warm season. So I feel you there. You're
going to have to let me know how the paddleboard is. I have yet to paddleboard much, but surfing is quite cathartic. So would love to mix it up a bit.
Dude, I will.
Surfing kicks my ass as a workout.
It's hard.
I'll be out here for a couple hours, and then 45 minutes go by, and I'm just gassed. I'm just this is why they're all ripped. What the hell? It's just surfing's a hell of a workout.
It's all about the fun. It's hanging out there in the water with your buddies is also half the fun. So.
Yeah, we could do a trade. We can come out to the West Coast. You'll teach us to surf, and then we'll all meet up in Tybee Island. And Alex, you can get the paddle boards, and we'll go out there for a more chill thing. Are you traveling at all to any of the conferences this year?
I might be. More to come on that.
Oh, okay,
yes,
cool.
Would happily take an offer.
Well, then
definitely keep us posted.
Yeah, we won't
plans.
be we won't be too cryptic except to tell you we'll be at Consensus in Miami in May, and we will definitely be in New York in June for ETH Global. And from there, who knows? We haven't looked too terribly far in advance, but hopefully we will see you there. We would love that. I'm curious about the Mac Mini. Are you an OpenClaw user?
I am.
Oh, okay, cool. Tell the folks back home who aren't familiar with it what OpenClaw is, and then tell us more about your journey to get it set up. Was it hard to set it up? What kinds of things have you used it for? Does it live up to expectations and let you go outside more?
I don't know if it helps me get outside more. But yeah, for all the listeners who haven't heard about OpenClaw, honestly, X is a complete plethora of information on this topic. And I think as the world moves faster, leaning on kind of community source knowledge is the best way to get started on some of this stuff. But OpenClaw effectively allows you to run an agent on your own personal device or multiple, and allows you to run a number of different tasks in the background to help make your life either more efficient or productive.
What are some of the things you've got yours doing?
So funnily enough, one of my favorite use cases for OpenClaw, and I actually had built a small Replit app to accomplish this previously, was I give it access to my Substack and all of my bookmarks on X. And it basically goes and it summarizes and distills all that information into a few minute podcasts for me. And so when I go on runs or I just go outside, I can quickly just turn it on for 5 minutes and catch up on everything that's going on.
Oh my God, I'm stealing that right now. That's good.
So there's a lot of really interesting stuff here. And I think we're really just scratching the surface in terms of how this stuff can impact our daily lives.
Man. Okay, cool. That's very cool. I have one set up on a MacBook that I wiped and just to try and get it. And honestly, I've had a lot of frustrations with APIs. I've had a hard time getting it a Google Gmail account. It seems like it's still kind of hit or miss. And so I set it up, forgot about it. And now I've said to myself, I will wait just 2 more months because surely somebody is going to have an autonomous agent that I feel a little more. The other thing about it is, it's scary to consider the permissions that you may or may not be granting. I'm not a technical person. I know more about it than maybe most people walking around, but I don't have any confidence in my own ability to audit like the actual security risks of a thing. I'm totally relying on other people to tell me like, yeah, do this. No, don't do that. So
definitely a disclaimer. Be careful what you grant access to these tools.
Certainly. Yeah. Be more paranoid than you are giving at this point.
Yeah.
I was talking to Doug and I was like, hey, could we get someone really smart to build like an AI agent that just goes and asks other AI agents who are giving people's crypto wallets for like Solana or Ethereum donations? And just like, we just asked.
Could be the move.
Could be the move.
Yeah, find me some private keys. We're hunting for Bitcoin today on OpenClaw.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. If you've got a question for Jared on the way out the door, let us know. We would be glad to share it with him. You can find him at Jared R. Blake on X. You can find Krak at Krak app on X and all your other favorite socials too, or kraken.com/Krak with a K, with 2 Ks, Krak. Jared, is there anything that we like didn't ask you about that you want to share? Any alpha you want to leak or news you want to prep us for before we ride our dogs and ponies into the sunset today?
Yeah, maybe leave on 2 notes here. I think first is more of a sentiment, which is I feel like we're hitting this day and age, and you're seeing this, I think, manifest in people going more heavily in on risk on assets. But we're entering a world where people's like expectations of financial outcomes couldn't be further removed from the tools enabling them to get to those destinations. And so I think ultimately where we're hoping Krak can kind of fill in and help support people, whether that's giving them access to DeFi yields, just empowering them with cards that truly give them the rewards that they should expect. Because I think it's super important that people don't resort to finding these very maybe aggressive strategies that are not well equipped or suited to be pursuing. and find really fiduciary ways to grow their savings and spend effectively. So I think that's first and foremost one of the reasons that I'm so excited about what Krak can offer. I think secondly, I'll leave you with a little bit of juice here, but we are looking to expand our neobank footprint, and so we are looking to move into the US, and so more to come on exactly what's coming, but do expect for the US to be getting some really exciting announcements here shortly.
Exciting announcements for the US. Okay, I like to hear it. Man, thank you so much. Jared, you've been very good with your time, gracious with us. Alex, I got a shout out in the backstage room because he's been super helpful in coordinating not just Krak, but all things Kraken. And I know that we're going to want to catch up with you again sometime soon. So let's do this. We'll say bye for now. We'll give you your morning back, and we're going to wrap our show. If you had to give and ask for our audience, I imagine it would be just try Krak. Yeah. Or anything else.
Just try Krak, as Evan states, and whether it's the card, whether it's salary deposit match, whether it's just throwing a few bucks in there and seeing what our auto earn product can do for you.
Yeah, just get you a little taste. And I have to highlight my favorite comment from the morning was the assistant early on asking us if. So, are you trying to tell me that Krak is the gateway to the rest of crypto and finance?
Think so.
I think so.
Could be the move.
So. Could be the move. Okay, Jared, thank you again for your time. Be well. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we will catch up with you real soon. Okay.
Likewise, Evan, Will, Alex, thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
Bye for now, my friend.
See you, Jared.
Okay, it's almost that time where we got to start riding our dogs and ponies into the sunset to get ready for the after show. But if you've got a last minute question, suggestion, good joke, word of wisdom, prediction, or something else, leave it in the comments. Alex, Will, is there anything particular you wanted to touch on today before we take the show on the road?
Oil.
Okay.
Yes. So the facilities that are responsible for 20% of global oil supply were struck. It's between Iran and Qatar yesterday. So oil price go up. I'm personally expecting the price of oil per barrel, right now it's at $120, to get up to about 180, maybe even higher. And if oil goes up, economy gets hurt. Wall Street and stocks go down, even though it was already looking like it was going to go down from a TA standpoint. And according to Moody's economists, the U.S. is at its largest chance of a genuine recession since we were in COVID. It's about they have it at like a 49% chance of a recession now. So, oil will certainly do it if the price of oil starts skyrocketing, and we've already had sticky-ish inflation on the PPI side. So keep your eyes on oil and oil facilities being struck in the Middle East. I think the price of oil is going to get way, way higher.
Man, it's just the news is happening faster than we can keep up with.
Yeah. So hold on to your butts.
Yeah, for real. I mean, it's hard to make predictions or base things on what has happened in history, just when as we continually have to say, the times get more and more unprecedented. It's very hard to the last time that this happened, it didn't. X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 blah. It just doesn't work like that anymore.
It's funny. In this entire time where I'm like, oh yeah, stocks are falling. What about Circle stock keeps going higher? I'm like, son of a bitch.
My hot take is that everything seems unprecedented when you're not a student of history. I agree with you that some of these things have actually never happened before. But if you reframe it, I feel like, yes, they have. We've had global conflicts before, not in a nuclear age of hot war, but
not with 24/7 access to basically every financial market at the same time for almost everybody, with near immediate trading of a whole myriad of different things that historically have only been accessible at certain times to certain people with certain amounts, and all of this at the same time. I don't mean isolated individual things. In conjunction, all of it together is just a diabolical combination of stuff.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that to like minimize the catastrophe, because you're right, and we should be concerned about it. But I say that mostly to think like, okay, if you are a person who is looking for everything to go wrong, you will notice more things that do go wrong. Your nervous system will be on higher alert in such a way that you will not actively avoid catastrophe. You will just idle at a higher threshold. Your breath will never be as deep. Your heart will never be as rested. Humans biologically were not meant to know what is happening with people who live more than 20 miles away from us, unless we got a messenger every 6 months or so. So pay attention, be aware, make informed decisions, but also like take care of yourself. I know a lot of our friends, because we're an online show, watch content every day. And we just didn't evolve, biologically speaking, as humans. This is so new. The phone is like decades old. The TV, decades old. Your biology evolved over hundreds of millions of years. That time frame is such a blip that we've been able to have relationships with that many people, parasocial or otherwise. So like, take care of your nervous system too, as you pay an appropriate amount of concerned attention to how to protect yourself, how to protect your money, those kinds of things. Fair? I don't want to sound like I'm, minimizing that. Yes, this is actually important. Do I?
I mean, it's just the same stuff, bigger scale. I mean, that's it. That's just how I look at it. I mean, like, yeah, there are some things that are never before happened, but for the most part, it's just oil goes up, stocks go down. Everything's worth more than it was before. Things go up more and down more as a result. There you go.
Ms. Bliss says, I am numb. That helps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but just remember that's the goal. Numbness is the goal. Overwhelm is the goal.
Yes.
Exhaustion is the goal. Defeat is the goal. Whenever you can exhaust, especially in a day and age when more and more people are paying more and more attention and have the ability to get spun up and exhausted about stuff, then you just create a scenario wherein they need to exhaust you before they do more heinous shit. So you just really have to keep that in mind. Although you have to pace yourself. It's one of those things. I think my favorite saying about the entire thing has always just been, actually, and this was in regards to veganism years ago, is, no one person has to do everything, but everybody can do something. And it's just about, being a little bit gracious with yourself while you feel numb and exhausted. Because, I mean, trust me, I get it. Doing trust issues has made it worse. But, c'est la vie.
Solom in the comments says, and this is why I'm going to try Krak, so it releases some pressure.
Amen. Woo, we brought it home.
Clip it. Okay, final thoughts on the way out the door. We'll do a quick round of final thoughts, and I will share this while we collect our thoughts together. This is from friend of the show, David Phelps, over on X. He is the founder of Confetti. We had him a couple episodes back. And he posted, just nearly got scammed by a fake podcast, and details the scam. We have seen an increase in scam attempts since we've been in the space. It's always good to let people know if somebody reaches out to you because they want to interview you for a job or for a podcast, they want to have a video call with you, and it starts to feel suspicious, like they don't have their video on. That's what he says. This call was on Google Meets. He scheduled it on his Calendly. They had their camera off. They sounded nothing like the person I know or was expecting, so I signed off immediately. Don't click links you're not aware of. You can get drained. You should be skeptical like David. And actually, we found out, I saw this just now as I opened up Twitter, the Rise Up Media account, Rums HQ, said, through extensive research and convincing Google to release Meets call history, the culprits of this scam attempt have been found. And it's a screenshot picture of us.
Tight.
Who posted that?
I should have known when he said just got nearly scammed by a fake podcast that it was actually, in fact, a fake radio show. The call was coming from inside the house.
Hey, we can be a fake podcast too.
Oh my
Why
gosh.
not? Don't put us in a box of only radio shows.
Yeah, no, the intern has got to get a raise. Somebody must have posted. Must have been Matt on his Spanish vacation. Matthew Wiley, research intern and Twitter poster extraordinaire, is going to be back on the show next week, Tuesday. We can ask him how his time abroad was on spring break. We can ask him about his experience with Katana, and if you need help withdrawing your assets or figuring out a plan for how to proceed after their token generation event, that'll be a great show for you. Will, I know you've got to get going first, so before you ride your dogs and ponies, can I kick it to you for a final ask, final thought? You got game night coming up this weekend for the first time, yeah?
Yeah. So game afternoon, if you're on the East Coast, it'll be 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, so our friends across the pond can hop on too. And I'll walk people through the games that I found that I'm actually having fun with on Abstract Layer 2. And we'll play some games, and we'll talk strategy on the games and try to help people get better at them, because like the better you do in the games, the more XP you earn from them, and that XP will one day, eventually, supposedly be an airdrop. So, we'll play some Web3 games, have a good time, talk a little shit, earn some XP for an airdrop one day. And we'll do that Sunday at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Will, just a quick clarifying question about that. People who want to participate, do they need to have like their own self-custody wallet ready to go? I know they offer login a variety of ways, but like, what's the 1, 2, 3 to get prepped for game night?
So what I did is I just connected my email, and then it automatically spun up a wallet. And then what I do is you can go fund my account via centralized exchange. And on Kraken, I just have some Ethereum, and then I say, okay, cool, send Ethereum to here, and bada boom, bada bing, it's done.
Got it.
So that's what I do. But you can connect with other wallets as well.
If you want to do this, you can head over to portal.abs.xyz. And once you connect with a wallet or with an email, it'll take you to this dashboard. You navigate to the My Wallet tab, and right over on the side, there's a little plus fund button, as well as send and receive buttons if you want to send crypto directly. And it's just like Will said, you can bridge assets from a self-custody wallet. You can transfer from a centralized exchange, or you can just click a button and buy some crypto with your credit or debit card. That's going to be the most expensive versus just sending or receiving it, but they do have a lot of different options. Portal.abs.xyz. Alex, what about you? Have you you got a final thought or question, suggestion, anything good for the audience before we go?
Yeah, just on the subject of things to be aware of, I brought something to share with the class. So this is the most interesting one that I've ever received. And so this is a piece of mail that I got in the actual mail addressed to my house.
Wow.
And, don't fucking scan that. But effectively, this looks like it's from Trezor. And the thing that I wanted to point out was, if you've ever purchased a Trezor device, the bottom of the wallet, like the little USB-C port where you would connect it, for power supply to your computer, has a little, like a sticker on it, like a security sticker. And if that's damaged or broken in any way, then, or has been removed because it's a tamper-proof seal, you can't remove it and stick it back on; it'll just crumble. Is on it, and if you can see,
and if I'm in podcast land,
yeah, hang on, I can only do 3 things at once.
That's it. Come on, man.
So you can see it right there. You can see it right there. They have one of these security stickers stuck to this piece of paper on the bottom above a QR code. And nothing else about this is official. So I got this in the mail, and this was coupled with, oh my God, probably half a dozen emails that I received over the course of the last couple weeks. And all of it is pushing this thing, authentication check, that they want me to go do. So they want me to go connect back in, upload some stuff, perform this authentication check, and then it has it's a mandatory part of the Trezor Suite experience for the following devices: Model 1, Model T, which I have, Safe 3, Safe 5, Safe 7. You have to do this by March 20th, 2026. To avoid disruption to your services. So if you'll recall, the scam that I put into the scam catcher about that fake Coinbase email, that says like, hey, make sure you take action by a certain date to avoid account interruption or account locking or freezing. So they have fabricated a deadline here on the bottom of this. This has my full name and not my current address, my previous address, which is the address to which I ordered the wallet, many years ago. And if you go to their social media, the Trezor Twitter account, which is extremely responsive and very active, and you just run a search for authentication check, or scroll through the last week or 2 weeks, 3 weeks of posts and look for any indication that they actually sent any of this or any of the emails. All of it looks relatively official. It's all fake. Like none of this came from them. There's no indication on their primary X account that they are doing anything like this, that this is real, that any of this exists. So there's only 2 solutions. One, it's the worst rollout of a security upgrade in the history of crypto companies, which seems unlikely from a company whose sole purpose is security. Or it's a scam. So just be careful. I mean, if you look at this too, like it's just a single piece of printer paper. There's no official letterhead. The CEO's signature is just an auto pen on the bottom. And then, like I said, I'm actually really, really tempted to just take like an old burner phone that I have that's, connected to nothing and scan this QR code and see where it takes me, on a disconnected device. And then I'll let you guys know like where it actually ends up taking you. But this was crazy just because it has they stuck a tamper-proof sticker, and it looks like an official Trezor tamper-proof sticker to the paper and sent it in the mail, which is just weird. So anyway, be careful. They have all of your information. I mean, the last time Ledger posted something about this, Zach XBT was in the comments with a day 62 since the last major Ledger customer data breach. Gesundheit.
Excuse me.
And so, I mean, just keep that in mind. If you've ever, given an email address or a home address or a phone number as part of sign up or purchase or whatever, all of that is just getting leaked and sold all the time. Basically, everybody has all that information now. I mean, Google's been breached, Ledger's been breached, like all this kind of stuff. They all use third-party, service providers to store all this kind of stuff. Just please be careful. And if you get something like this, if you got one of these, don't scan that code. No. Anyway.
So first of all, that's crazy level of dedication. Getting something in the mail is so much more official than getting something in the email now. So that's kind of crazy. Also, I was throwing my hands up in celebration because I finally found the problem for my internet and it's now fixed. Dude,
I've heard that 6 times in the last week.
No, except it's actually worked right now. It was my Proton VPN.
Oh yeah, totally. That makes sense.
But the thing is I didn't have the VPN on. It was uninstalled. I had to uninstall it. So even if it was off, it was a problem. So apparently, if anyone is having internet problems, the Proton, what is it? Let me see if I have the explanation here. The WireGuard tunnel driver that Proton VPN installs was interfering with StreamYard's WebRTC connections during multi-person streams, corrupting your entire network stack. And it's working.
Yeah, I mean, you look great right now.
Thanks.
This is a gross misrepresentation.
Will always looks great, Alex.
Right now?
All the time.
Only right now?
It's his thing.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, Will, even sick, you still look just good as hell, you asshole.
Thanks, I'm very handsome.
Okay, on the way out the door,
snotting.
this is what I'm going to give you. I'm going to tell you that if you want to verify any of the stuff that Alex said and get in touch with good information from Trezor, maybe you're a Trezor wallet user, you can head to x.com/Trezor, Trezor, or Trezor, Trezor.io. And you know that I can't talk about Trezor without saying thank you to and mentioning the official cold wallet sponsor of the Rise Up Morning Show. I am talking about our friends at Arculus. Thank you so much to Arculus for trusting us to help you tell a better story. If you need cold storage, we recommend that any wallet from a legitimate company that supports the networks and tokens you want to use, that you find easy to use consistently well, is the one you go with. But for us, We chose to partner with them because we believe their team is incredible, their support, their safety measures, and their technology are the best. For just $99, you can get started. And now if you head over to getarculus.com or look them up at This Is Arculus on your favorite social, then you can use the code ARCURUMS10 to get an additional 10% off. And as I go to pin the product on the TikTok live, it looks also like they have a little bit of a discount going on over here too. So check this out.
You can double up.
You can double up.
Code.
You can buy one for $90.28 and then add the code ARCURUMS10. Don't come for me. And get another 10% off. Cold storage, accessible for everybody. And if you need help using it, we've got lots and lots of different resources to help you figure it out. They all live where we're about to go. I'm talking about community.rumshq.com. That's where we're headed now, and we'll be back next week. Thanks so much, everybody, for being the very best part of what we do. Until next time, and until the after show, stay safe, be well, my friends, rise up.